and we have some suggestions that we're going to provide. These are just based off of the research that we saw and what we saw as effective solutions.
Try to go quickly on these, but there are the permitting private dumpsters, like I talked about with Philadelphia. That way we can know who has what dumpsters. I know it's a huge problem for us in the 9th Ward with people putting them into the sidewalks, and then a sidewalk is no longer accessible. The other big thing is doing on-demand bulk pickup instead of doing a rotating in the different parts of the city, just because I think it's a large problem where they're behind by 1 week, so something that's supposed to be out there for a day or two then is there for weeks, and it becomes a large problem, and then you don't really know if it was an illegal dump or it was just someone who thought it was this week, but really it was last week, and now it's going to be there for an entire month. I think this will make it a lot easier for us to know what is illegal dumping versus what is a resident, and there are a couple different systems. There's systems where they have a specific day where you're an appointment and it's like, oh, this part of the city we do on Mondays. And then there's Baltimore has a different system where they do 600 pickups a day, and then they schedule you out for however many days in advance that is. Then the other thing is doing multi-stream recycling at especially at drop-off locations. If people are going to drop-off locations, they're more than likely very avid recyclers, and so it's important to then be able to keep them separated so that way they are actually recycled at the most effective rate. And then also including recycling training as part of employee onboard, because it begins with us, and then you have lots of advocates for recycling that are all around the city. That is from Cincinnati. And then we have quite a bit of long-term solutions that need a little bit more research to see if they will work in this city or require a lot more, like an entire bill, et cetera, to change. Doing the tire dealer business license that Philly has done. And Philly also did a legally posted signs program where like illegal signs that are in their right-of-way that are often predatory in nature and often also end up as litter. They will have a specific day every year where you can return in those signs for 50 cents per sign, up to $250. And the first year that they did it, 8,000 signs were collected.
Well, thank you. This is very helpful. It's really important to see how other cities are doing it. We know that we're not unique in St. Louis in many ways, and also our residents are not uniquely bad at recycling, but it is just a challenge when you're dealing with people to get things done correctly. It's been several interesting things highlighted there. I think, for instance, tire recycling. We know tire dumping is a huge problem in North City. We know that bulk pickup is a big problem in this city by accident or by illegal dumping. So lots of things that we have room to improve on, and I think improvements in these areas would be an improvement in quality of life for our residents.
So 52% of the recycling collected between January and May of 2025, so that was, we have 3 recycling methods right now: roll carts, dumpsters, and the drop-off sites. So January to May, we had 52%, so more than half of that. So if you were recycling anywhere in the city in the time period, it was a coin flip whether or not, when you put that egg carton or milk jug or whatever it was into your blue container, that it actually ended up as renewed material. I think we can agree nobody is happy with that. You know, it should not be, in this case, less than a coin flip on whether or not that recycling actually made it to become renewed material. So those rejected materials are rerouted to the landfill. So the meaning, you know, clearly there, the city pays full recycling costs, but does not get any of the environmental or economic returns. As a reference point here, the recycling costs are about 5 times more per ton than trash. So when we pay a disposal fee, so the cost of recycling, when we weigh it, it's $191 a ton compared to $42 a ton for trash. Another just cost reference point, our refuse division annually, costs us as the city about $28 million annually to run it, to provide the services that we provide: trash, recycling, yard waste, bulk pickup. But from the billing, we get $16.5 million. So the rest of that, the difference between the $28 million in cost of running the division and $16.5 million of what we get from the billing, we pay through tax dollars. Okay, so let's use a comparison here. When we did stop the alley recycling and we just did roll carts and drop-off locations, we had a theory that the rejection rate, the contamination rate, would be a lot less, and it turned out to be true. When we did a data poll on this and we looked at the middle 2 weeks of July when we didn't have alley recycling, we saw the contamination rate go from 52% to 20 to 25%. So again, that's based on just roll carts and drop-off locations. The other piece of this that is important to note is that we're not going to immediately remove any alleyway. So those blue dumpsters will essentially double your solid waste collection capability. So right now, we have a fair amount of overflow in some of our neighborhoods. And so instead of just putting bags on the ground or the various ways that people are forced to use to dispose of the trash or put it to the side, you can use those blue dumpsters as trash, so you have 100% additional solid waste capability there in the alleyways. And we will mark those, so we don't want to have people confused thinking they're still getting those materials recycled.